wandering around country lanes and footpaths, and I haven't found anything yet. No, look. Ah, all the evidence is here. The piece of wood that they used to pry it up. There, look. There you go. We can just imagine it. They open the gate, drive down the little lane next to their house, and then it's there. The wheeling machine is just sitting on its side, looking really sorry for itself, and it's just laying there in the mud, full of water. I was like, oh my God, I could have cried. Oh, look at it. My very own Ranalah wheeling machine. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Hi, I'm Dom, and welcome to my workshop. Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, it's raining, we're back in the workshop. I tell you what, it's nice coming in, seeing that standing there. So today, I can't help myself. It's a quite exciting day. I'm gonna take this thing apart, got to try and get the wheels off, that cradle that holds the bottom on, and the bottom roller, that wheel there, the threaded bar. I'm going to see how far I can actually get this apart, because I've been lucky enough to get my hands on a complete wheel. All I need to do is take it all apart and then just look at every single component and work out how I'm going to remake it. That's basically the whole process, because I'm going to make sure that every single nut and bolt and washer and thread is all exactly the same. So anything I make for the new Ranalah wheeling machines will be perfectly interchangeable to the original ones. That's the goal. So all of these old layers of paint have got to go. This thing's going to be scanned, and it's going to have photos and be scanned, and I need to make sure that what we're looking at is the actual metal, not 5 layers of paint and flaky bits and who knows what else underneath. So I'm going to strip it right back to the bare iron, so we really know what we're working with. Paul is coming over this afternoon. Paul is going to be working on making the pattern. So he's an important part of this process, and he's really excited about it. I'm really grateful that he's coming over on a Sunday. So I'm going to try and get this apart and get this all laid out and worked out as soon as I can before he gets here. So that is my plan for the day. Might make a nice time lapse, so we'll see how that goes. First 2 pieces hold the top wheel on, and yeah, already everything's looking very specific, very certain bolt. I'm gonna have to measure this thread to work out what thread pitch that is. Then there's this little spacer, like a sort of washer on the front. That is a sort of the bearing actually runs against that for the top wheel. Look, it's got a little tiny hole in it there. I'm gonna make sure I clean all these pieces up as best I can and take some really accurate measurements, dimensions, do some proper drawings to start getting these things remade. Here we go. So this is the top wheel. This is so important, this wheel. That top edge needs to be completely flat, this surface. If this is not in bad condition, any pitting or damage or marks and rust on that is a disaster. I think if you're putting a soft piece of aluminium through the wheeling machine, you run back and forwards, back and forwards, back and forwards. All of these dings and marks will be transferred onto the aluminium. So I need to make sure the new ones I make of these are going to be perfectly smooth. You can see there's bearing on that side, a bearing on that side. Cool. Then this is the lower wheel. So you can see, so the top wheel, this one is perfectly flat. This one has got a bit of a crown on it. This is what creates the shape. So you can get these will be in a set, and you can get them in all different profiles. Look, see, from that to that, different shapes. Right, these 2 little spacers are what the wheel would sit in. So see that profile on there, that sits in there. I've got a feeling these aren't original. I think Anthony might have made these. They don't look right to me. So anyone else out there with a Ranalah wheeling machine, these 2 little spacers, what do yours look like? I don't think they look right. So I need to do a bit more research on this. a very specific bolt. Here we go, that's the lower cradle. This is another piece that is cast, so I'm gonna have to make another pattern for that and remake that. This is quite interesting, come and have a look at this. So that part, that lower cradle that I just took off, clearly hadn't been taken off in a very long time. This grey is not original. You can see it's been various colours underneath, a couple of blue colours and everything else. Underneath that cradle, on this lower part here, you wouldn't have been able to paint that with that cradle in place, and that cradle hasn't been taken off in a very long time. Okay, so this is the grey that you can see on the rest of the body, but underneath that is this slightly darker colour. Maybe, that is the original grey. I think it will become clearer once I start scraping off these layers of paint, and the more I get it taken apart, the more I'll be able to see. I need to get these components off to get them remade, to work on measuring them and getting them remade. Whilst I'm doing that, if I can work out what colour this was painted originally from the factory, I can get that colour matched, and then my new ones can be exactly the same colour. So every little detail's got to be right. Tiny little grub screw. That's it, that's all the components. Let me show you. The upper wheel, the washer that goes over the front, and the bolt. The lower cradle that holds the bottom wheels that have got this sort of flat-ended shaft in the two of those, which sit in there. The lower cradle sits on there, which is keyed. It's got the insides taken out there. It's threaded there for this little guy. This is the threaded adjuster, which has got this part machined on the top. When this grub screw goes in, it locks that in position. And then I need to get this apart. There's a pin here that will go through there that will separate the threaded rod to the actual adjuster, the actual adjusting wheel, which is broken, unfortunately, but I can deal with that. So then that's it. The only other parts I really need to make, this sort of the spindle for the top wheel, that goes through the actual cast body. It will sit in there, you can see at the back. So that goes all the way through, so I need to make that, and then the end of that is threaded to accept that bolt. There's an insert in there, which is keyed for the adjuster to slide up and down. And then that part there's another insert there, that's a sort of collar that's pushed in there, that's threaded. There's a fair few bits there, actually. Probably not the person to be machining all these parts. I might try and do some. I'd love to do as much as I can, but with my limited time and limited talent on the lathe, there's some bits I might do, but some bits I might actually have to farm out. But I know a few people that can help me there. So greasy, dirty bit out of the way. Now let's do the fun bit. I'm gonna try and put some paint stripper on this paint first of all. I don't have very high hopes because it feels like a really tough, hard paint, but we're gonna start gentle, start with some paint stripper, see what that does, and see if I can work out what that original color was. Oh, this is good, I like this bit. I'm going to let that sit for a bit, work its magic, whilst I'm in the middle of something else here. Ah, my heat gun. Heat gun was plan B, to try and sort of heat the paint to scrape it off, and the wire's broken, so now I've ended up taking it apart and I'm going to try and join the wire back together inside. So restoration of a heat gun coming up. back in business.
Paint stripper update. Look at this. It's taking it off, so you can see the grey top coat. Underneath the grey is a blue, which is still not original. It's like grey, isn't it? I think there's a grey under there. That dark grey. That looks like bare metal. Then that looks like the grey.
The Ranalah wheeling machine is now completely stripped down. I've got all the components on the bench there, every bit that I can get off anyway at the moment. The cast iron part is here, and you can see it is... Sorry. I'm well on the way to stripping it back. You can see at one point it used to be blue. It's looking good. It's looking good. It's like an archaeological dig where you know they're like on Time Team where they're digging through the old layers of soil and you can see where the soil has changed and it's a little bit more clay. Then there's loads of shingle and there's there used to be a road there. You can tell when you work your way down. This is exactly the same process, scraping back through these old layers and removing these old layers of paint. This top grey, I know that was painted by the previous owner. Fine. Before then it was blue. It was actually two different colours of blue. There's also bits of dark green under there. And I'm kind of thinking, as I'm peeling it back, it's just like, oh, hang on, oh, blue. Imagine if Ranalah painted them all blue. But I don't think they did. I'm constantly trying to prove myself wrong. To be like, is it blue? Did they paint it blue? Like, what evidence is there to prove that they didn't paint it blue? And then I'm thinking it was grey originally, which makes sense. It's quite a neutral colour. Tools like this, machines like this, quite often when they're going in the workshop, the people that have the workshops, quite often all their machinery gets painted the same colour. I don't really want to paint everything the same colour. I quite like the history of all the different places and each one tells a story. But back in the day, you know, that was your workshop, that was your coach building shop. All the machines were painted blue. That was it. That was your little identity, I suppose. So it doesn't surprise me that Ranalah just painted them a neutral grey, like a grey primer colour. So whichever workshop, whichever factory they ended up going in, they could paint them whatever colour they wanted on top. So this would have been backed up against the wall. You can see real good evidence that it used to be blue, and then right where the wall would be, the blue stops, and then all down the back here, there's no blue at all, not a drop. There's not, and I've scraped back and I've looked and I've looked. This is the top grey, this lighter grey. That's the top coat. Underneath that is this darker, like grey primer kind of grey, and then underneath that is bare metal. That is the key that tells me that this has been up against the wall. Whenever it's been painted green and blue in the past, they didn't pull it off of the wall. They just painted the bits they could get to. And that back edge that's been against the wall, bolted to the wall, has not been painted. And at the factory, at Ranalah, when this was made, they would have painted everywhere. They would not have left the whole back half of the machine not painted. So that rules out blue and green and the other kind of blue and this top grey, and leaves me really with just that one dark grey primer colour grey. It's a lovely colour, it's a really nice colour, and I'm so glad that I found it. So now I can clean that area up and I'll bring back my rail code charts and my colour charts. I've got a various collection of old colour chips. I'll mix up a colour, make sure it's the right match to that before I strip that off completely. So I've got a perfect replica of the original colour that was painted when it was new in the 30s. On to the next problem. I'm about to head off to the repair shop. It's now late in the evening, Sunday. I have just spent the last few hours having my mind blown speaking with a very, very clever man. I'll put a link to his Instagram here or down below. I'm going to be working alongside him. He's going to be doing the 3D drawings that I need of the wheeling machine to then convert them, to then get the pieces cut, to get the actual, to make the wooden sort of pattern so I can recast them. It's not necessarily a 3D scan. It's not that simple. It goes way over my head. It's a bit hard for me to explain because I don't fully understand it, but he understands all of it. And most importantly, he doesn't just know how to use the programs. He has the vision that you need. Like, he understands, he just gets it. It's not something you can just put on your CV or put on your website and kind of like, oh yeah, you know, I understand. He loves cars. He's designed some amazing, he builds all of the bucks and designs bucks and concept cars and things like that. And he just understands exactly what I'm trying to do. He's really passionate about it. I mean, he's come and spent most of his Sunday afternoon here with me talking about it. Brainstormed a few ideas and a few plans. And it was a brilliant creative process that I loved. I really missed doing it. It took me back to being in college. Really, really good fun. He gets what I'm trying to do. He understands it. He's on board. And he is very, very clever in areas that I absolutely can't do. His computer programs and the 3D programs and the CNC machines, and he could do all these animations and little sort of walk arounds and dissect it into sections and work out all this sorts of stuff. And it's necessary to make sure that, because we're kind of reverse engineering, so we're not just making this, we're not sort of sitting here sculpting this out of clay and making our own design. This is reverse engineering. So we've got one and we need to make a replica. So we're going to be working backwards a little bit to then make a wooden version of that then we can then cast. But it's so nice to be teaming up with somebody that just understands and just gets it. The other thing I need to think about next, or soon, I guess, is the machine parts. I'd love to be able to do them here, but I think I'm going to have to sort of get someone else to help me there as well. But we'll see, we'll see. Anyway, look, my battery's running out. I need to get on the road and head down to the repair shop. I will see you bright and early for that walk down the lane. Let's hope the weather gets better. See you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. Listen to that. The wind has gone, the rain has gone, although the weather's better. My hay fever is so bad, look at my eyes. Oh dear. I've brought down the cradle that holds the lower wheel on the Ranalah English wheel, and the bottom like wheel adjuster. We're going to start with those two pieces and try and go through the whole process of drawing, making, casting those two bits. Check out accuracy, make sure that the process is all working really well, whilst I'm sort of stripping off and working on the main body of the English wheel. So I've brought those two pieces down here so I can nip them in the sandblaster, because my sandblasting cabinet is down here at the repair shop. So hopefully at lunchtime I will get those sandblasted and stripped back to bare metal, and then we can work on getting the wooden templates made. I've actually got repair shop work to do as well this week. It's going to be a really busy week, so I better get onto it, and I will catch up with you soon. There we go. I'm back. My goodness, it is Wednesday already. This week is absolutely flying by. I think I said this on Monday. I'm going to try and sandblast them here and strip them in preparation to take them to the pattern makers. But so far, I haven't touched them. I think I poured a bit of paint stripper on them, and that was about it. 3 days left to see if I can sandblast these two small parts, see if I can find time. I think my boots tell the story of the kind of week that I've had. It's been painting, sanding, painting, priming, sanding, painting. I'm absolutely, my hands are aching so much, but it's good fun. It's Friday and I still haven't actually finished stripping the parts for the Ranalah wheel. I tried them in the sandblaster and it wouldn't even touch the paint. The paint is so stuck on there. So I've been putting paint stripper on it to try and strip it back, and I need to kind of sand it all off and get it all off. So I'm going to try and do that at lunchtime today, but I'll see how I go. I'll try my best to get as much done as I can, because I need to drop those bits off to the pattern makers so we can keep this ball rolling for the Ranalah. Oh, dearie me. Back in the workshop. It's now 8:30, nearly 9 o'clock maybe, Friday night. So I've come straight from a repair shop, finished there, driven straight the way back here. Honestly, however tired I am, it's so nice to come into the workshop and see this sitting there. Good news, I did find time this lunchtime to get this stripped. So this is the lower cradle. This would usually be sitting on the adjuster there, it goes up and down. And this is the first part that I'm going to work at getting recast, and it's more complex than you'd think. There's all sorts of holes and drilled holes and milled bits and stuff like that, but I've got this all cleaned up, stripped back, so this is the bare metal. I've put an oil on it so it's not going to go rusty. The next video now will probably be me heading down to Paul and seeing the pattern maker and seeing this thing being cut out. It's going to be made out of wood, so I'm really looking forward to it. I really can't wait to start actually making something. It's going to be really, really good. The first video has gone down so well. I really just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody that's left me such positive comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.